What's up, YouTubers? This is Harpy189 coming at you from the Duelist Den. Today I'm doing a top 10 list of habits and things that Yu-Gi-Oh players do at events that really annoy me. So let's get started with it. Coming at the number 10 spot is overpricing or overvaluing your cards. What I mean by this is where you have a card that's, for example, I'm going to use a story that actually happened to me as an example. About a year and a half ago, I was trying to get a trade done with this guy. He had a Moki Moki. At the time, I was really trying to get a copy of Moki Moki. They're not easy to come by unless you go online and get them, but doing just straight up trades are not easy to come by. Not a lot of people have them. Now, it's a 10 cent to 25 cent card. I asked him how much he wanted for it because I didn't have anything that he would trade it for. So I asked him how much it would cost if I just wanted to buy for him. He told me 20 bucks. For a Moki Moki. And it's a common card. It's not foil or anything, it's a common card, but he wanted $20 for his 25 cent card. Now, sorry, I'm not going to do that, alright? That's way overpricing your cards. Now, if you have like a $5 card, you want $7 or $8 for it, that's one thing. But don't overextend the price or value on your card. That's just a real asshole thing to do. Number 9, people who are not prepared. Now what I mean by this is if you're running a deck, like say, for example, I have a Despot deck. Despots do a lot of boosting of their own attack points. I use dice as counters to keep track of that. If you're going into an event, you have your deck, you know you're going to need something like that, make sure you bring it. Make sure you bring, a way to keep track of life points, now that, make sure you bring a game map, make sure your cards are in sleeves, make sure you have your cards. Just make sure you have what you need for the event, now if you can't, like, say you can't afford to buy a game mat, like like I've run into this, if somebody, they don't have a lot of money, they saved up what they could to go to the event, they couldn't afford a game mat. That's one thing, or say you overslept for an event, you're rushing to get out the door, and you just accidentally forget something, that's one thing. But if you know you're going to need something, you don't bring it, that kind of shows that you just don't give a fuck. So just make sure you're prepared and bring what you need. Number 8, multiple trades. If you see somebody doing a trade with somebody, don't go over there and ask them if you can look through their binder right then and there. That's extremely rude, okay? And people aren't going to want to trade with you. Now, the reason you don't want to do this is because if your person's doing multiple trades, trying to keep track of multiple people, looking through their binders, then the risk is higher for their cards to get stolen. So don't be a dick and go over there and or go over to somebody and ask them if you can look through the binder right there. If they're already in the middle of a trade. Now if they are in the middle of a trade, you ask them, hey, can I look through your binder next? That's what you really want to do. If there's nobody else set to look through it next, they'll tell you, yeah, you look through it next or whatever. But don't insist on looking through the binder right there if they're already in a trade. Number 7, rule sharking. What rule sharking is you're dueling somebody, they're being a real ass, and they're calling you on every little rule, even the small stuff like not declaring you're changing phases, This really pisses me off, and I'll admit I did this once, and I'll tell you that story here in a second, but this really pisses me off because you can get game losses for people who are rule sharking like that, okay? Now for my story, I was playing a guy, now mind you, I've been in this game a long time, and this just happened last year. This guy has been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for only 6 months. He thought he was better than me. He thought he knew what he was doing. He was running an autopilot deck, a top tier autopilot deck. He made the deck, got all the expensive cards, all the cards he needed for it, just because it won a major event. And he thought he was better than me. I was running a rogue deck. It wasn't even anti-meta. It wasn't meta. It was a rogue deck. And he was really pissing me off. So game 2. Because he was being an ass, I decided I was going to be an ass. I started rule sharking him on everything. I made him count out his extra deck, or side deck for me, in between siding. I made him declare when he was changing phases. I made him declare everything he was doing. I was being a real ass about it. Now, granted, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but still. Point is, I've done some of the stuff on this list. So I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying I have done some of the stuff and it still annoys me. But don't be a rule shark. It just makes you seem like an ass and nobody wants to duel you. Number 6, card shuffling. This is a big issue these days. Because when you hand your opponent your deck for them to cut it, if they shuffle a certain way, they can actually bend your sleeves or bend your cards, and then they can have a judge get you for marked cards. Now I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. You give your deck to somebody to cut it, they pick it up, they take it, and they shove the cards through the side sleeves just like that. Don't do that, okay? That is the wrong way to do it. Why? Because if you do that, you bend the corners on the sides of these sleeves, okay? And, you know, these sleeves aren't plastic, you know, they're kind of flimsy, you know? They can bend, they can crease, okay? And I actually had a person, one of my friends, somebody did that. They shuffled the cards in like that and intentionally bent the sleeves on them, okay? And as soon as this round started, he called a judge over, and my buddy got a game loss because his opponent said he was stacking the decks because the corners on his sleeves were bent. It really pissed my friend off. You know, it kind of sucked that he got, you know, it really sucked that he got the game loss. But an example, the right way to do it, you know, first of all, you know, just cut the deck, okay? Or you can just, you know, shuffle it like that, you know. It's not hard. There are ways to shuffle your opponent's deck without risk of damaging their sleeves or bending their cards. Next up on my list is number 5. People who won't admit they lost, won't take their loss like a man. Now what I mean by this is, say you're at an event, you're dueling with somebody, they lost, they look at the top card of their deck, they say, man, if I had just one more draw, I would have beat you. Man, your deck ain't good, I would have beaten you. If I just had one more draw, man, you couldn't let me have one more draw. Dude, we didn't get that far. Chill out, I beat you fair and square. Another prime example, man, I just realized I misplayed. I mean, I can't believe that happened. You know, admit you lost, okay? Now, this has happened last weekend. I was the only guys using my Jackpot 7 deck. If you see my profile, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, go see my profile. It's a stun deck. Using Boku's, Threatening Rose, Balfour, so Scarecrow. Game 2, okay, I wasn't drawing into my combo, but I was drawing my stun card. So I just kept stopping his attack, and he just kept getting madder and madder and madder and madder. It was kind of funny. You know, the entire venue could hear him getting louder and louder and madder and madder. I was sitting there laughing. Yeah, I was. But he was really pissed because he said, man, if you weren't running a stupid stun deck, I would. Dude, you lost. Get over it. Number 4, dueling when you have your invite. This primarily refers to regional events. And what this is people who've already gotten their invite to nationals. They go to the regional events just to duel and top to stop other people from getting their invites. Now, yeah, well, that's technically not against the rules. It is a dick thing to do. Because there are good players out there who could go to nationals, who could win nationals, but they don't get the chance because they probably had a real lousy day at regionals, you know, and they just weren't getting up to where they needed to. You know, if you go to a regional, there are win-a-mats, there are other things you can do, you know, if you want to just run a new deck to see how well it would have done, you know. There are other ways to do that, which, you know, and there are some people who have their invites go, and then they drop like round 4 or 5, just because they wanted to go and duel for a little bit. But if you're going to regionals just to top and stop other people from getting their invite when you already have yours, that's a real asshole thing to do. Don't do it. Number 3, cards in your binder that are not for trade. Now there are some people who can't afford multiple binders, and then so what they do is they set up like from this page back, and usually have a marker there. They say that's not for trade. That's completely understandable. You know, I get that. You know, I used to be one of those guys. But you know, if I see somebody that pull out 2 or 3 different binders, half of each of those binders is empty, then scattered throughout every binder, the cards are upside down, it's not for trade. Why do you do that? I mean, if it's not for trade, don't even bring it, you know. If it's for sale, if you're not trading it's for sale, put it in a separate binder or something, you know. So, you know, this is my sale binder. I actually have two different binders of cards that aren't for trade. And those special collections. I got a binder for my God collection and a binder for my Heartbeat collection. Those aren't for trade. So when I'm doing trades, I don't pull them out because they're not for trade. Number 2, bad hygiene. You hear about this one all the time. It is really a problem. I mean, it's gotten to the point where there are several shops, and even at several of, you know, a lot of major events, they actually have signs. If you've not showered, or if you if you're not showered in X number of days or whatever, then you are not allowed to come in. And people give them shit for that, but 9 times out of 10, these card shops are privately owned. And you wouldn't want to sit down across from somebody who smells like a week old fish. It's nasty, smelly, dirty, ugly looking. It's so bad you don't even want to touch their deck. And some people do this. Go to events like this, doing that without showering for a couple weeks, just so their opponents drop because they don't want to duel this one person, and then get to advance. Now, granted, it's not a very effective technique, but I have seen people doing it. But it's poor hygiene. You don't want to do it. People don't want to duel you. They don't even want to be around you. Furthermore, if you're sitting across a person like that, they're constantly having to deal with your smell. They can't concentrate on their duel, so they're not going to be at the top of their game. And yeah, that could be an effective strategy, but it's still a nasty one. Honestly, I can't, even if I'm not leaving the house, I can't, I shower pretty much every day, so just make sure you shower, wash up, make sure you don't smell, put on some deodorant or something, use a wet wipe, clean your face and your pits or something. The number one thing is card rulings. I'm not talking about not knowing your opponent's card rulings. I'm talking about people who don't know their own card rulings. I've run into people like this, There was one time at a regional, I had to sit there and I had to tell this guy how to play his deck. It got to the point where he showed me his hand, which I could have gotten him a game loss for this. But he was like 15, 16 years old. He's pretty new to the game, which I kind of get that. He's only been in the game for a year. After a year though, you should know your own card rulings. Now, if you're like 5 or 6, or like 6 or 7, like my boy, he's only 6. He doesn't know his card rulings. He knows how to use his cards. Teach him how to use his specific cards. But if you've been around for a while, been doing this game for a while, and you don't know your own card rulings, that's a problem. But back to my story. This guy didn't know his own card rulings, and I got to the point where he was showing me his hand. I was telling him what to do, and I showed him how to beat me game 1. Now, granted, game 2 and 3, I kicked his ass. But game 1, I showed him how he can beat me with his own deck, just so he had an idea of what to do during game 2 and 3, so he could try to do it. But if you don't know your own card rulings, don't even bother me. I have 5 different decks. I have my Harpy Magician deck. I got my Deskbot deck, my Ignite deck, my Jackpot 7 deck, and my Magispector deck. I know the card rulings for every card in all 5 of those decks. Why? Because those are the decks I use. So I know the rulings. I've gone online. I've looked up the rulings. I've figured out how to play. I've gone on Dev Pro and Yugioh Pro. I've played them to learn the rulings and how they work and when I can use the effects. But anyway, that is my top 10 list of annoying habits and annoying things that duelists do. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments in the box below in the comment sections. What are some of the things you find annoying, habits you've seen people do? If I've missed some, let me know what they are. Furthermore, tell your friends about the channel. Let them know what goes on. If you have any suggestions for videos you'd like to see, let me know. Email me, harpyhunter89@gmail.com. Email me your suggestions, But until next time, this is harpyhunter89 signing off.